So what's up, guys? This is Orange, and I have a video today about when I got geeked and I had to drive home, and it was a very rough time. So before I start the video, I got a couple things to say. First of all, I've been sick as fuck. I don't know if you guys can hear it in my voice, but I've had the flu, I've had COVID, I've been exposed to it, and didn't get tested because fuck that. And also, this is not a confession. None of this happened. This is very theoretical, if you might say. Um, and yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoy the video. We're gonna have some background Grand Theft Auto footage. I've recently just been starting to play the story, so if you guys enjoy that, it's like a Trevor rampage. So hope you like that. So the story starts over the summer. I believe it was July, and I had a pretty different friend group over the summer than some of the other vids. Um, I stayed down about 3 hours away from my hometown, and I got a different job, so I got to meet a lot of new people through my job, and it was a very fun time. I have a lot of stories, and plenty more will be rolling out. So I pretty much had a fresh start. I didn't know anybody really. I might have been acquainted with a couple. As I've been coming down around that area for a while, and I just didn't know anyone. It was a fun, good start to the summer, and so at that time I was probably in my maximum stoner phase. And I had a lot of weed, too much for me to smoke all at once, and so I was a local entrepreneur, as you might say, in the gas business. So, and through my work, I met a lot of people there. Few of them smoked, but there was just one specific guy that we're going to touch on today. And we're going to name him Blaze, because that name suits him so well, because that motherfucker is a douchebag. This guy is the stereotypical frat guy, like, womanizer, not a good guy to be around. Like, I think his first day at work, he insulted, like, the nicest person I've ever met by calling her a certain slur that doesn't even match her race. So that was very interesting. But hey, it was a way I can make some money, so I didn't care. So I didn't really hang out with this guy a lot. Maybe occasionally, maybe saw him at some parties, but not a lot of people like this guy, so he wasn't really there. It was really just whenever I served him, which was maybe a few times. It's like I was only with him for about 2.5 months, and he wasn't really a smoker. He just kind of wanted it for parties. And down where we live, we were very close to a state that does not have legalized marijuana. In mine, we do. And so I could purchase some and then bring it down there, which most people were from states that did not have legalized marijuana. And if they did, it was pretty shit weed. And so I had a pretty good business there. There was no competitors, nothing like that. And so that's kind of where I came in. That's kind of the role I played. I was a local entrepreneur, as I said. And to be honest, with there being no competition, I could price this shit out of my ass. Like, I could make up a fucking number and people would pay it. And so, like, I would sell a gram for like $25, $30. And I'd even sell eighths and halves to that guy. So you guys do the math on that. And I could really get a gram for about $5. So the profit margin was huge. And so one day at work, he asked me if I want to go to a party tonight. And I didn't hear about any parties. Like, the people I work with, they always, they tell me, hey, we got a party tonight. So I was a little thrown off guard. Didn't realize, like, oh shit, he might actually be throwing a party. And that's exactly what he told me. Blaze was like, yeah, bro, it's my party. Like, can you like tell everyone about it? And I was like, that awkward moment where you're sitting there and someone asks you a question. You're like, I don't want to say no, but I don't want to say yeah. Like, you just don't want to do it. But, like, it wouldn't be an issue doing it. You just don't want to. That was where I was at. So I was like, fuck it. Maybe, sure. And he kept asking me about it. So I eventually just said, fuck it, I guess. So I started calling up all the guys and the gals to pull up to this party. But like I said, he wasn't very popular. So they were pretty hesitant at first. So I had to work some magic and had most of them come out. And I think it was about like 12 people that really came out, so like, it wasn't a huge function. But, I brought my whole stash, as like, I saw, like, hey, that could be a good business opportunity, spread it around. Maybe they can get some friends. That did not happen. I was not a very, very popular one, as, like, no one really, really smoked. So it kind of sucked. But there was about 3 people that actually wanted to. And unfortunately, they brought my least favorite thing ever, which is a cart. I hate carts. Like, if you can't afford bud, dude, just don't smoke carts unless you maybe get them from a dispo. But most of the carts I see, like, they're fake as fuck, carcinogenic, pesticide carts. Like, don't fucking smoke that shit, guys. Like, that shit's terrible. It's terrible for you. And no worries, but Blaze, he didn't care. He wanted some bud for himself, and I was like, all right, man, sure. So now I remember, I brought my bong and mustache, because I thought we were gonna have a good toke party. But I didn't bring water. I didn't bring a single bottle of purified water. And this was a party. No one fucking brought water. We weren't in a house, so there's no fucking water. So you know what I did? I went to the nearest source of water, which happened to be a lake, and I dipped my shit in there, and I did not give a fuck. Not a fuck. So, I still sold a little bit of weed. I don't remember the exact amount, but I still sold it to the guy. And, they weren't there for that long. The whole function kind of died out after like 2 hours. It's pretty awkward, I'm not going to lie. And, the party was pretty uneventful, so we're just going to skip that. It was kind of just, if you imagine, we're all just sitting in, like, we were on a dock, and imagine just 12 people sitting in a circle awkwardly looking at each other with music that's, like, cranked up to, like 2 clicks. It was like that. It wasn't a fun party, but I was stoned as fuck, so I didn't care. And after they all leave, Blaze starts to complain about his lame-ass party, and so then I, like, switched it up. I'm like, yo, we should just go up there and go smoke some shit. And that's what we did. I pulled out my whole stash. I probably had, like, 5 or 6, maybe 7, strains of weed. And I was like, hey, but you can smoke all of it. Like, take like half a butt out, rip it. Like, just taste test, Like, I was that guy, It was like a connoisseur of wine. I was like, yeah. Swish around your mouth. You got to aerate it a little bit, Get all the feel for it. Which, doesn't really make sense. You're not going to really feel different, in my opinion. Like, I could smoke 10 strains of weed at once and it feels the same for me. But I didn't really give a shit. It was kind of like a psychological thing. But, so, he agrees to buy, like, 3 strains. Don't remember the amount either. I'd probably say maybe a couple grams each. It wasn't a crazy amount. He maybe tossed me a Benjamin. And, I didn't really smoke with anybody yet because no one really wanted to smoke. And so I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'll just smoke with this guy. Free smoking, buddy. I don't really like smoking by myself. I did. But with someone else, it's usually better. And that's the key word here is it's usually better. And this time was not one of those. So after the toke, about 15 minutes, I'm sure it started to hit the guy. And he started sharing some stories or trauma dumping. I don't remember exactly. I wasn't listening. But he's like telling me how good his like freshman year of college was and all the girls he got. And and then he gets on the topic of how good he can dance. He goes out to bars and dances to get ladies, apparently. I don't know. I've never heard of that. And like I said, this guy's a stereotypical frat guy, just without the heavy drug use. He probably would, date girls, you know what I'm saying. But, no offense to those frat guys out there. I've been to a few of my family members in frats. I just never got into it. But, after these stories have passed, he's like, yo, man, I can really dance well. I'm like, all right, okay. And I'm assuming he wanted me to ask him, like, yo, dude, just pop out some moves. Let me see some of that shit. I didn't say that at all. But this guy throws on some, like, Euro techno, like I don't even know what the fuck it was, some EDM, something like that, and just starts doing some goofy, odd dances, like shit that doesn't even match the music. I mean, he's doing like the hokey pokey, not really, but like he's doing like the Running Man. Like the best way I could describe it, he was doing like those '80s jazzercise VHS tapes. It was kind of like that. Yeah, it wasn't good. And at this point, I was way too high for this shit. Like I was kind of like, what the fuck is going on? Is this shit real? And just to put this in perspective, guys. Uh, just picture this: some like frat douchebag doing like an intense Running Man dance while looking me straight in the eyes while that weird Euro techno EDM blaring at probably about 1 a.m. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. I got off work. I don't want to fucking deal with this shit. I just want to get high. Not a fun experience. So I tried to get myself out of there and go home. But he tries to like get me to stay, and I'm not wanting to. And I'm just like, dude, I got work tomorrow. Like, I can't do this shit. I probably did. I probably didn't. I don't remember. I bag up his marijuana, and I ask him like, hey, yo, you want to take another toke? And he's like, yeah, fuck it, bro. I'm like, he obliges. I go for a rip too. I'm like, fuck it, a rip won't hurt. And I smoked probably like half a bowl, maybe a whole bowl. Like, my bomb wasn't huge. It's like the average beaker. And there's just that certain amount that I know, like, it tickles the back of your throat a little bit. Like, someone kind of, like, sticks a feather back of your throat, and you're like, oh, shit, dude, I need to cough. And I felt that 100%. And I was like, oh, this shit was way too much, man. Like, I'm about to be stoned out of my fucking ass. And that's exactly what happened. He walks me to my car, but about halfway over, he says this to me, and I hate this. Don't ever ask anyone this, guys. Just please. He's like, "Are you good, bro? Are you good? Like, are you good to drive? Like, I don't want you to die." And I was like, I sure as fuck was. Not anymore. And now I'm tweaking the fuck out. I'm like, dude, am I good? Did I look like that fucked up? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm good. I'm like kind of bullshitting. I was tweaking. And I get in my car, 10 and 2, just sitting there. I start up my car, and I'm just sitting there looking straight ahead, 10 and 2, like, dude, I'm about to die. I'm about to die. Like, I get really anxious, no matter what. I'm just an anxious guy, I fucking hate it. And after about 10 minutes, I shifted in the drive, and I'm on my way. And these roads, man, there's some twisty fucking roads. They go up and down. It's like riding a damn roller coaster. And it's dark as fuck. There's not really a lot of street lights out, so I'm really just depending on my shitty ass non-LED headlights. And, like I said, it's dark as fuck out. So I couldn't see anything. I'm like, I almost crashed in like maybe a mailbox or something. Nothing serious. I was keeping it between the mustard and the mayo. That's always what I do. And it's probably about a 15-minute drive. Nothing crazy. But for some reason, I was just tweaking. I was following all the traffic laws. Guys, I'm not condoning this. It was a very stupid decision. But don't ever break 2 traffic laws at once. Like, do as much as you can to be legal. And later down the road, like, I'm looking for cops. I'm like, oh shit, dude, what if I get pulled over? What if I go into a ditch? What if I hit somebody? All those thoughts racing in my head, a million thoughts at once. And eventually, more than I realized, I'm about a mile away from my house, and I'm like, oh shit, dude, like, this might be it. For some reason, the closer I got, the more scared I got. Not sure why, but I was freaking out. I'm like, oh shit, dude, like, I might just get lost or something. Like, I knew where the fuck I was going. I did. It wasn't anything crazy. Nothing really happened. Pretty uneventful drive, but I was tweaking my ass off. And I was still tweaking until I got into my driveway. And, as soon as I pulled into my driveway, threw that bitch in park, I'm just like feeling like I just defeated the whole fucking world. I'm on top of it. Like the feeling of success that I got from this, like I will never feel again probably until I'm married or have a kid. It was something like that, man. It was an intense rush. I loved it. I pull up my phone. I remember the time I left. It was probably about 1:30. And guess what time I got home? 2:05. Took about 35 minutes to go for a drive. It's usually about 15. I don't know how the fuck that happened. I remember all of it. I felt like I was going the speed limit. I probably wasn't. This is probably the worst time I've ever drove. So, not a smart decision, guys. And, definitely don't do what I did. It wasn't safe. And, I definitely wasn't as smart as I am now. I'm not trying to risk my life or other people's lives, especially. Fuck mine, but anyone else. I don't want to do that. And, that's about it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and, check out my other videos. And turn on that notifications, guys. I'll be coming out with some new videos. I got some interesting ones. And, later, guys.